The chamber fell silent as the hologram flickered to life. 47 species had gathered on the council station, and every one of them stared at the image with fear in their eyes. The data was clear. Something was coming from beyond their galaxy, and it was eating everything in its path. Admiral Sarah Chen stood among the council members, her hands clasped behind her back. She was human, and her species had only joined the Galactic Council 300 years ago. They were young compared to the others. The Chithrax had been exploring space for 10,000 years. The Lumini had mastered crystal technology before humans even discovered fire, but now none of that mattered. The Voidborn have consumed 12 systems in the Outer Rim. The Chithrax speaker clicked, his insect-like mandibles trembling. Our fleets cannot stop them. They absorb energy. They break matter down to nothing. Every ship we send disappears. Sarah watched the simulation again. The Voidborn moved like a dark cloud through space, leaving emptiness behind. No debris, no survivors, just void. We must evacuate the outer sectors, a Lumini delegate said, her crystalline body chiming with distress. Fall back to the inner systems and fortify. That buys us time, nothing more, Sarah said quietly. All eyes turned to her. The Voidborn will not stop. They will keep coming until they reach our core worlds. We need a real solution. And you have one, human? The council premier, a massive reptilian Scarvel named Zathar, looked down at her with skepticism. Sarah nodded. My people have been studying dimensional physics for decades. We believe we can create a barrier, a wall between dimensions that the Voidborn cannot cross. Hope sparked across the chamber. Species began chattering in their various languages. How? Zathar demanded. Sarah activated her own display. Complex equations and diagrams filled the air. We anchor points in space to create a dimensional fold. The Voidborn exist partially outside normal reality. If we conceal the boundary between dimensions, they cannot enter. This is theoretical, an Ethon scientist said, his gaseous form swirling with doubt. Yes, Sarah admitted, but it is our only chance. What is the cost? Zathar asked. His eyes narrowed with suspicion. Sarah took a breath. This was the hard part. The anchors must be maintained from the other side, from within the dimensional fold itself. A species must enter that space and hold the barrier stable. The chamber erupted. Voices rose in anger and fear. No one wanted to volunteer for what sounded like a suicide mission. How many would be needed? A voice asked. All of them, Sarah said. An entire species. The dimensional mathematics require massive computational power and constant adjustment. Billions of minds working together through neural networks. You are asking a species to sacrifice themselves, Zathar said coldly. I am asking a species to save everyone else, Sarah replied. She stepped forward. And humanity volunteers. Silence fell again, heavier than before. You cannot be serious, Zathar said. We are, Sarah said firmly. 17 billion humans will enter the dimensional fold. We will maintain the barrier. We will stop the Voidborn. Why would you do this? A Chithrax delegate asked, genuine confusion in his voice. Sarah smiled sadly. Because someone must, and because it is the right thing to do. The debate lasted for 3 days. Some council members argued against accepting humanity's sacrifice. Others worried it was a trap. But the Voidborn kept coming, consuming more systems, getting closer. Finally, the council voted. Humanity would proceed with their plan. The exodus began 2 months later. 17 billion humans gathered on their worlds. They packed their technology, their art, their history, everything they valued. Scientists had built massive dimensional gates on Earth and every human colony. Sarah stood on Earth for the last time. The sky was filled with ships preparing to depart. Children cried. Families held each other. But there was determination too. Humanity had made their choice. Are you ready, Admiral? Her second officer asked. No, Sarah said honestly. But we go anyway. The gates activated one by one. Brilliant light filled the sky as tears in reality opened. Humans walked through, carrying their lives with them. 17 billion souls stepping into the unknown. Sarah was among the last to go. She turned back to look at Earth one final time. The blue planet that had given birth to her species. She wondered if they would ever see it again. We will see you on the other side, she transmitted to the council. Then she stepped through the gate. The dimensional fold was not like normal space. Colors shifted strangely. Distances felt wrong, but the humans began their work immediately. They activated the anchors. They synchronized their neural networks, billions of minds linking together to hold reality itself in place. The barrier formed, a vast wall between dimensions, invisible but absolute. The Voidborn struck it and could not pass. They raged against the barrier, but it held. Back in normal space, the Council celebrated. They were saved. The Voidborn were stopped. But when they tried to contact humanity, there was only silence. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The Council sent probes to the barrier. They found nothing. No response, no signal. Humanity had vanished completely. Perhaps they succeeded but cannot communicate, some said hopefully. Perhaps they are dead, others whispered. The years passed. The Council built monuments to humanity's sacrifice. They taught their children about the brave species that saved the galaxy. Earth and the human colonies were declared memorial worlds, preserved forever. But in the dimensional fold, something else was happening. Humanity was not dead. They were fighting. The Voidborn were there with them, trapped on the other side of the barrier. And the war had only just begun. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the last human ship, looking out at a dimension of nightmares. Her people were changing, adapting, becoming something new, something harder. "We will survive," she told her crew, "and someday we will return." She did not know it would take 10,000 years. 10,000 years had changed the galaxy. The Galactic Council now had 89 member species. New civilizations had risen. Old ones had evolved. The crisis that nearly destroyed everything had become legend. Most species barely believed humans had existed at all. Kira Thal floated through the Council archives, her crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns. She was a young Lumini diplomat and she loved history. Today she was researching ancient species for a cultural presentation. She found the human file buried deep in the old databases. The image showed strange bipedal creatures with soft skin and hair. The file was marked with a memorial seal. Humans, she read aloud, sacrificed themselves to stop the Voidborn invasion. Status lost, territory quarantined. Quarantined? That was odd. Memorial worlds were supposed to be preserved, not quarantined. Kirathal dug deeper into the records. The human homeworld, Earth, was listed as off-limits to all traffic. The human colonies, too. The reason given was dimensional contamination risk. She tried to access the reports about this contamination. Access denied. She tried a different approach, looking for trade records. What she found made her stop. For the last 9,000 years, there had been authorized missions to human territory. Hundreds of them. They were listed as resource reclamation operations. "They are mining human worlds," Kirathal whispered to herself. Her light dimmed with shock. She needed to know more. She needed someone with military access. She thought of Commander Thex, a Chithrax officer she had met at a diplomatic function. He was honest, or seemed to be. She sent him an encrypted message. On the border of what was once human space, Commander Thex received the message on his patrol ship. He was surprised to hear from the young diplomat, but her questions intrigued him. He began his own investigation. What he found disturbed him. Council military records showed that ships regularly disappeared near the old dimensional barrier. Small vessels, science teams, resource haulers. The disappearances had been classified as navigation errors or equipment failure. But the pattern was too consistent. One every few months for the last 50 years. All near human space, all hushed up. Thex pulled the emergency beacon data from the most recent disappearance. A Chithrax science vessel. It had been studying anomalies in the barrier when it went silent. 3 days later, that same ship appeared at a Council research station. It drifted in, no power, no life signs. The station sent a team to investigate. What they found made hardened soldiers vomit. The ship's interior was covered in writing. Every wall, every surface carved with the same message in every known language. Some languages were so old they had to bring in historians to read them. "We remember," the message said, over and over. Thousands of times the crew was gone, not dead, just gone. The Council tried to suppress the report, but Thex had friends who sent him copies. He forwarded everything to Kirathal. They needed a scientist, someone who understood dimensional physics. Kirathal suggested Dr. Venn, an Ethon researcher who had published controversial papers about the barrier. The three of them met in secret on a neutral station. "Someone is out there," Dr. Venn said, his gaseous form swirling with agitation. "The barrier has been showing unusual readings for years. Energy spikes. Microfractures that heal immediately. I thought it was natural decay. But now we know someone is trying to break through, Thex finished. Or they already have, Kirathal added. She displayed her findings about the resource operations. Look at this. The Council has been stripping human worlds for millennia. They have taken rare metals, ancient technology, everything of value. That is theft, Thex said, his mandibles clicking with anger. Those were memorial worlds. It gets worse, Kirathal said. She showed them another file she had decoded. I found old council meeting records. From 8,000 years ago, scientists had figured out how to stabilize the barrier from our side. They could have brought humans back. The silence was heavy. Why did they not? Dr. Venn asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. Because the council wanted the dimensional technology, Kirathal said bitterly. And they wanted human territory. The records show a vote. It was close, but they decided to leave humans trapped. That is not sacrifice, Thex said. That is murder. More ships began disappearing. Not just near the barrier now, but at resource operations throughout old human space. A mining station went silent. A cargo hauler vanished between jumps. A council patrol found a supply depot destroyed, melted down to slag. Whatever is out there is getting bolder, Thex reported during their third secret meeting. Then they got lucky. An automated probe caught footage of an unknown ship near one of the disappearances. The vessel was sleek and dark, covered in strange markings that seemed to shift. It moved in ways that defied physics, phasing in and out of visibility. That is not council technology, Dr. Venn said. That is not any known technology. Send a message, Kirathal suggested. Try to make contact. Thex managed to get authorization for a small expedition. Officially, they were investigating a navigational hazard. In reality, they were heading for coordinates where the strange ship had been sighted. They found something better. A derelict vessel floating in empty space. It was huge, built with elegant lines and covered in battle scars. The hull material was unknown. There was writing on the side in a language that took their computer several minutes to identify. It was human. The ship was dead, but its emergency beacon was still active. Thex's team boarded carefully. The interior was dark and cold. Everything was built for bipedal, creatures of roughly human size. They found the ship's Tatacore and managed to extract its logs. What they learned changed everything. The logs told of 10,000 years of war. Humans trapped in the dimensional fold with the Voidborn, fighting every day, dying and adapting, changing themselves to survive. The entries spoke of genetic modification, of technological evolution, of entire generations who knew nothing but war. 3,000 years ago, the humans discovered the truth. They found old council transmissions that had leaked through the barrier. They learned about the vote, about the betrayal, about the theft of their worlds. The logs showed their rage, their planning, their slow development of technology that could breach the barrier. The final entry was recent, only months old. We have achieved dimensional transit capability. We have surveyed our home from the other side. They took everything. They left nothing. The council grew fat on our sacrifice while we fought their war. No more, we are coming home. We will take back what was ours, and we will have justice. The message ended with coordinates and a timestamp. The dimensional barrier was going to collapse in 3 days. Thex transmitted everything to Council Command. He begged them to prepare for contact, to send diplomats, to prepare explanations and apologies. Council Premier Zathar, the same Scarvel who had accepted humanity's sacrifice 10 millennia ago, read the reports. He was old now, ancient by his species' standards. He had seen countless generations come and go. He gave the order to mobilize the fleet, not to greet humanity. To stop them. On the third day, the dimensional barrier shattered at 12 points simultaneously. Space itself tore open, and through the tears came ships, thousands of them. Dark and deadly and absolutely silent, humanity had returned, and they brought wrath with them. The human ships emerged from the tears in space like predators stepping out of shadows. They did not broadcast greetings. They did not request permission to enter Council space. They simply came. The Council fleet moved to intercept. 300 warships, the pride of the galactic military, positioned themselves between the human vessels and the nearest inhabited system. Admiral Velkoth, a veteran Chithrax commander, sent the standard challenge. Unknown vessels, you have entered Council space without authorization. Identify yourselves immediately or we will open fire. The human ships stopped advancing. For a moment there was hope that dialogue might be possible. Then one of the human ships fired. The weapon was like nothing the Council had seen. It did not shoot plasma or missiles. Reality itself seemed to tear where the beam passed. 3 Council ships simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed. Not blown apart. Just gone, leaving nothing behind. All ships return fire. Velkoth screamed. The battle was a massacre. Council weapons hit the human ships, but the vessels seemed to phase through the attacks. Shields flickered with strange energy. When Council ships tried to close distance, the humans used weapons that aged metal to rust in seconds. Entire warships fell apart, their crews dying as their vessels turned to dust around them. In 15 minutes, the Council fleet was broken. Half the ships were destroyed. The rest retreated in chaos. The human ships did not pursue. They moved past the debris and headed deeper into what had once been their territory. On the Council homeworld, panic spread. Premier Zathar called an emergency session. Delegates shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for total war. Kirathal, Thex, and Dr. Venn watched from the public gallery. They had tried to warn the Council. Now it was too late. We need to make contact with them, Kirathal said urgently. We have the derelict ship's data. We can show them that some of us know the truth, that some of us want to help. The Council will arrest us for treason, Dr. Venn warned. Then we move fast, Thex said. He looked at both of them. Are you with me? They both agreed. Thex used his military codes to commandeer a fast courier ship. They loaded the data from the human derelict and headed for the nearest human fleet position. The human ships detected them immediately. 2 sleek destroyers moved to intercept, their weapons charging. This is Commander Thex of the Chithrax military. Thex broadcast on all frequencies. We are not here to fight. We have information about the Council's crimes against humanity. We request to speak with your command. The human ships did not respond, but they did not fire either. They escorted the courier to a massive vessel at the center of the fleet. It was a command carrier, bristling with weapons and technology that hurt to look at. They were brought aboard under guard. The humans who met them were shocking to see. They still had the basic shape. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But they were changed. Their skin had strange metallic patterns. Their eyes glowed faintly. Some had extra limbs or modified anatomy. They moved with perfect coordination like parts of a single organism. This way, one of the humans said. Her voice had a strange echo to it, as if multiple people were speaking at once. They were brought to a command center. The room was filled with holographic displays showing tactical data and target coordinates. Council worlds marked in red. Human colonies marked in blue. A woman stood at the center studying the displays. She was tall and wore a dark uniform covered in symbols. Her hair was white despite her young appearance. Her eyes were completely silver with no pupils. I am Lord Admiral Arya Chen, she said. Her voice was cold. Descendant of Sarah Chen, who led humanity into the dark. You wanted to speak. Speak quickly. Kirathal stepped forward. Her crystalline body was trembling. We found the truth. The Council betrayed humanity. They could have saved you 8,000 years ago, but chose not to. We have proof. We know, Arya said. We have known for 3,000 years. We heard the Council transmissions. We watched them strip our worlds. We saw them forget we existed. Then you know not all of us knew, Thex said. Most of the Council believes you died in sacrifice. The truth was hidden. By those who still lead, Arya said. Her silver eyes focused on them. Zathar still serves as premier. He was there when we volunteered. He was there when they voted to leave us trapped. He has lived for 10,000 years fat and comfortable while we fought and died in hell. Punish him, Dr. Venn said. Punish those who are guilty. But do not punish the innocent. Arya walked closer to them. They could feel energy radiating from her, like standing near a reactor. Do you know what we have become? We were diplomats, scientists, artists. Now we are weapons. We spent 10,000 years fighting the Voidborn in close combat because our weapons did not work in that dimension. We modified our bodies to survive. We changed our minds to process faster. We became monsters to fight monsters. She gestured to the displays. Every human you see has killed. Every child born in the last 100 centuries was born into war. We have no art anymore. No music, no poetry. Only tactics and survival. We are sorry, Kirathal said softly. Sorry does not return the dead, Arya said. Sorry does not give us back our innocence, but She paused, looking at the data they had brought. You tried to warn them. You came here at great risk. That means something. An alarm sounded. One of the bridge crew called out, Admiral, Council Strike Force incoming. Stealth ships. They are targeting this vessel and the courier. Arya's expression did not change. Zathar moves faster than I expected. He sent assassins instead of ambassadors. He is trying to kill all of us, Thex realized. To silence both you and us. Then he will fail, Arya said simply. The stealth ships decloaked and fired. The human shields absorbed the attack without flickering. Then things stepped out of the walls of the ship. Humans, but not quite. They were translucent, phasing between solid and not. They moved through the hull like ghosts. Revenants, Arya explained. Humans who spent so long fighting Voidborn that they learned to exist partially outside reality. The Revenants phased into space itself, appeared inside the attacking ships, and slaughtered the crews in seconds. No alarms, no defense. Just death, silent and absolute. The stealth ships drifted, empty. This is what we have become, Arya said to the three visitors. This is what your council created. Now you have a choice. Help us bring the truth to light, or return to your people and pretend you know nothing. Kirathal looked at Thex and Dr. Venn. They nodded. We will help, Kirathal said. Whatever it takes, Arya allowed herself a small smile. It did not reach her eyes. Good, because Zathar just declared war on his own people by trying to kill you. Now we have cause to march directly to the Council homeworld. She turned to her crew. Begin the reclamation. Target military installations first. Civilian populations are to be left unharmed. And broadcast everything. I want every species in the galaxy to see what their council has done. The human fleet began to move. Behind them, the dimensional barrier flickered and pulsed. Thousands of more ships were coming through. Humanity's long silence had ended. Now the galaxy would hear their voice, and it would be the voice of thunder. The war moved like a storm through council space. Humanity's fleet struck with precision that terrified their enemies. They had spent 10,000 years fighting the most dangerous enemy imaginable. The council's military was nothing by comparison. System after system fell, not through destruction but through overwhelming superiority. Human ships would arrive in orbit. They would broadcast one message: surrender or be removed. Most surrendered. Those who fought learned quickly why they should not have. Human weapons operated on principles that seemed impossible. They used devices that moved ships backward through time by seconds, making them dodge attacks before they were fired. They deployed drones that existed in multiple dimensions at once, impossible to target. But the most terrifying weapon was the chronological displacement device. General Cormac watched in horror as humanity used it on a military fortress that refused to surrender. The device activated. Time accelerated around the fortress. In seconds, they watched thousands of years pass. Metal corroded. Systems failed. The fortress aged to ruin before their eyes. The garrison inside died of old age in moments. The fortress crumbled to dust. Gods preserve us, Cormac whispered. He was Scarvel, like Zathar, but he was a soldier, not a politician. He believed in honor. What the Council had done to humanity was without honor. He gave the order. All ships stand down. We will not fight them. His second officer stared at him. Sir, that is treason. No, Cormac said firmly. Following orders to protect those who committed crimes is treason. Humanity has every right to justice. We will not stop them. Word spread. More military units stood down. Some fled. Others switched sides entirely. The Council's forces were crumbling. On the Council homeworld, panic turned to chaos. Species began evacuating. Some condemned the Council openly. Others tried to distance themselves from the humans, claiming they had always opposed the exploitation of human worlds. Premier Zathar watched his empire falling apart. He had ruled for 10,000 years. He had guided the Council through countless crises. But he had made one mistake. He had underestimated humanity. Now they were coming for him. Arya Chen's fleet arrived at the Council homeworld 3 months after they emerged from the dimensional fold. The planet was protected by the largest defensive grid in the galaxy, thousands of orbital weapons, planetary shields that could withstand Nova-level explosions. Humanity did not attack the defenses. They simply moved through them. The ships phased through the shields like they were not there. They materialized inside the defensive perimeter. The orbital weapons fired, but the human vessels had already moved to different positions, existing in multiple timelines simultaneously. How do we fight ghosts? A council defender screamed before his platform was disabled. Arya's command ship took position directly above the council capital. She broadcast on every frequency, every channel. Every screen in the city showed her face. People of the Galactic Council, she began. I am Lord Admiral Arya Chen of humanity. We have returned from our long exile. You were told we died saving you from the Voidborn. That was a lie. She showed the data. All of it. The Council votes. The resource operations. The decision to leave humanity trapped. 10,000 years of exploitation and lies laid bare for everyone to see. We sacrificed everything. Arya continued. Your leaders took more. They stripped our worlds. They stole our legacy. And when they could have saved us, they chose not to. Today we take back what is ours, and we will have justice. The broadcast cut to scenes of Zathar, caught in his own recorded words from ancient meetings, his voice admitting that humanity could be saved, his arguments for why they should not be, his casual dismissal of human lives. The city below erupted in chaos. Some species turned on their own leaders, others simply fled. The council building itself was evacuated as crowds gathered outside, demanding answers. Zathar fled to his secure bunker. His guards were loyal, or so he thought. But even they had seen the broadcasts. When revenants phased through the walls, the guards stepped aside. Zathar was brought before Arya in chains. You took everything from us, Arya said quietly. They stood in the council chamber, once the seat of galactic power. Now it was empty except for the two of them, Kirathal, Thex, Dr. Ven, and a recording device. I did what was necessary, Zathar said. He still had pride even in defeat. The galaxy needed the resources. Humanity was gone. Their worlds were empty. Why should they go to waste? We were not gone, Arya said. We were fighting. Every day for 10,000 years. Fighting the enemy you were supposed to stop. Fighting to keep the barrier stable while you grew rich on our stolen property. She stepped closer. You lived 10,000 years, Zathar. Comfortable, safe. Do you know how many humans lived that long? None. The oldest of us is 6,000 years old, and she is more machine than flesh now. We died young. We died often. We were reborn and died again. All because you wanted our territory. What will you do? Zathar asked. Kill me? Destroy the council? You have won. Take your revenge, Arya shook her head. Revenge is too simple. You will face trial. You will answer for your crimes before every species you claim to lead. And then you will spend whatever remains of your life making amends. She turned to the others. Broadcast this. Let everyone see what their leaders became. Let them choose what comes next. The trial lasted weeks. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. Species after species spoke about the exploitation they had suffered under council leadership, emboldened by humanity's example. Some council members were found guilty. Others were cleared. The younger generations, those born long after humanity's sacrifice, were innocent of the original crime, but had benefited from it unknowingly. Humanity's judgment was clear. The corrupt leadership would be removed. The council itself would be dissolved. A new government would be formed, with checks and balances to prevent any single species from dominating. But then Arya revealed the second truth. She stood before representatives of all 89 species. You wonder why we returned now. Why not sooner? The barrier has been weakening for centuries. We could have escaped at any time in the last 1,000 years. She paused, letting that sink in. We stayed because the Voidborn are still there. We have been fighting them every day since we entered the fold. The barrier did not stop them. It only slowed them. They are still trying to break through. And in 50 to 100 years they will succeed. The chamber fell silent. 10,000 years ago this council was soft, complacent. You faced one crisis and nearly fell apart. You sacrificed one species to save yourselves, then forgot about them. Arya's voice hardened. That weakness nearly killed you then. It will definitely kill you now. She activated a display. It showed the dimensional barrier from the other side. Massive shapes moved in the dark beyond. The Voidborn had grown, evolved, adapted. We returned to prepare you, Arya said. We did not come back just for revenge, though we will have that too. We came back to forge you into a weapon, because when the Voidborn break through, you will need to be ready. And right now you are not, General Cormac stood. What do you need from us? Arya smiled. It was a warrior's smile. Everything. Your technology will be upgraded. Your militaries will be rebuilt and trained by us. Your soft civilian populations will learn to fight. Every species will contribute. There will be no exceptions. And if we refuse, someone asked, then you will die when the Voidborn come, Arya said simply. We survived them alone for 10 millennia. We can survive them again. The question is, can you? The vote was taken. 87 species voted to accept humanity's terms. 2 refused and isolated themselves, choosing to take their chances alone. The galaxy had a new order. And humanity stood at its center, not as tyrants but as teachers of survival. The age of peace was over. The age of preparation had begun. 6 months after humanity's return, the galaxy looked different. New military installations orbited every major world. Shipyards worked day and night, building vessels with human-designed technology. Training centers processed millions of recruits from dozens of species, teaching them how to fight like humans. It was not easy. Many resented the changes. They called it occupation. They said humanity had become the tyrants they once fought against. Protests erupted on several worlds. Arya addressed them directly. She stood on a platform on the Lumini homeworld, where the largest protest had gathered. Millions of crystalline beings chimed their displeasure, their bodies resonating with anger. You call us conquerors, Arya said. Her voice was amplified across the entire city. You say we have taken your freedom. You are correct. The crowd's anger grew louder. We have taken your freedom to remain weak, Arya continued. We have taken your freedom to ignore the coming threat. We have taken your freedom to die unprepared. You are angry because we remind you that the universe is not kind. That survival requires sacrifice, she gestured to the sky. Out there beyond the barrier, the Voidborn wait. They have consumed billions of my people. They will consume you too if you let them. We are not here to rule you. We are here to ensure you survive. A voice called out from the crowd. You say you protect us, but you treat us like children. Because you act like children, Arya said bluntly. You have lived in safety so long that you forgot what danger means. You think peace is the natural state of the universe. It is not. Peace is something you fight for, something you defend, and right now you lack the strength to defend anything. She softened her tone slightly. We do not want to be your masters. We want to be your partners. But partnership requires that both sides contribute equally. When the Voidborn come, will you hide behind our ships, or will you stand beside us? The crowd grew quiet. Slowly, reluctantly, many of them began to see her point. The new accord was established. It was not like the old council. Power was distributed across multiple governing bodies. No single species could dominate. Every decision required majority support from multiple factions. Humanity held significant influence, but they could not act alone. Kirathal became humanity's primary ambassador to the other species. Her experience and honesty made her trusted by both sides. She worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between humanity's harsh methods and the other species' desire for autonomy. They need to understand, she explained to Arya during a private meeting. You are asking them to change everything about their way of life. It will take time. Time is what we do not have, Arya replied. She looked tired. The weight of leadership was heavy, even for someone as strong as her. The barrier weakens every day. We estimate 47 years until catastrophic failure. Then we teach them faster, Kirathal said. But we must also remember our own humanity. You have become so focused on survival that you have forgotten how to live. Arya looked at her sharply. What do you mean? When was the last time you created something beautiful? Kirathal asked. When did you last make art or music or anything that was not a weapon? Arya was silent for a long moment. We lost those things long ago. We had to survive. Then perhaps it is time to reclaim them, Kirathal said gently. The other species need to see that humanity is not just about war. They need to see that you are worth saving too. The words struck deep. Arya dismissed the meeting and went to the observation deck. She stared out at Earth, visible in the distance. Her ancestral homeworld, stripped and scarred by 10,000 years of exploitation. Teams were already working to restore it. Humans had returned to the surface, seeing their homeworld for the first time in countless generations. But it was a sad return. So much had been lost. Commander Thex had taken charge of the military integration programs. He was surprised by how effective human training methods were. They did not just teach tactics. They taught mindset, how to think like a soldier, how to overcome fear, how to work as one unit. His Chithrax troops were changing, becoming harder, more efficient. He wondered if that was good or bad. One day, a human revenant appeared beside him. The phasing soldiers still unnerved everyone, appearing from nowhere. "Commander Thex," the revenant said. She was young, or had been once. Now she was something else. "I was asked to deliver a message. There is a memorial service on Earth for the first wave of humans who died in the dimensional fold. The Admiral thought you might want to attend." Thex agreed. He took a shuttle down to Earth's surface to a valley that had once been a city. Now it was a field of monuments, billions of names carved in stone. The first generation of humans who had entered the fold and never returned. Thousands of humans gathered there. Some were veterans from the dimensional war, their bodies modified and scarred. Others were young, born after the return, trying to understand their heritage. They stood in silence, honoring their dead. Arya spoke. "We remember those who went first into the dark, who did not know if the barrier would work, who volunteered anyway because it was right. We remember Sarah Chen and the 17 billion who followed her. Without them, we would not be here. Without their sacrifice, the galaxy would have fallen." She paused. "We returned carrying wrath. We brought justice for the crimes committed against us. But we also brought hope. Hope that this time the galaxy will be ready. Hope that no species will ever have to sacrifice themselves alone again." The ceremony ended. People began to leave. Thex stayed, reading the names on the monuments. So many lives, so much loss. Arya approached him. "Thank you for coming. I wanted to understand," Thex said. "To see what you lost. What we all lost. Do you think we can make this work?" Arya asked. "This alliance? Or will your people grow to hate us for what we make them become?" Thex considered. "I think hate is easier than change. But necessary things are rarely easy. We will struggle. We will argue. But I believe we will survive together." Arya nodded. "That is all we can hope for." Years passed. The galaxy transformed. Military capabilities increased dramatically. New technologies were shared. Joint exercises brought species together. Slowly, very slowly, a new culture emerged, one that valued both strength and compassion. Warriors who understood why they fought. The barrier continued to weaken. Scientists monitored it constantly. The Voidborn tested it, probing for weaknesses. Sometimes small ones broke through. They were destroyed quickly, but each breach reminded everyone of what was coming. On the 40th year after humanity's return, Arya stood on the bridge of her flagship. It hung in orbit above the dimensional barrier, now clearly visible as a shimmering wall in space. Cracks showed across its surface. Lightning-like energy discharged along the fractures. Kirathal stood beside her. "The other species are ready, as ready as they can be." "It will not be enough," Arya said quietly, "but it is better than nothing." "You always expect the worst," Kirathal observed. 10,000 years of war teaches you that," Arya replied. Then she smiled slightly. "But I have also learned something from you. Hope is not weakness, it is fuel." Behind them, the greatest armada ever assembled waited. Human ships alongside Chithrax, Luminae, Scarvel, and dozens of others. United not by conquest but by necessity. Ready to face the dark together. The barrier pulsed. A massive shape pressed against it from the other side. The Voidborn were coming. "All ships," Arya commanded. "Prepare for breach. This is not the end. This is the beginning. We will show them what a galaxy united can do." She looked at Kirathal. "Are you frightened?" "Terrified," Kirathal admitted. "Good," Arya said. "Fear keeps you sharp. But do not let it control you. We have something the Voidborn do not." "What is that?" "Each other." Arya turned to her crew. 10,000 years ago, humanity went into the dark alone. Today we face it together, not as separate species, but as one galaxy, one voice. And our voice says no further. The barrier cracked. Light flooded through. The first Voidborn emerged, massive and hungry. But this time they did not face a desperate, unprepared galaxy. They faced warriors, billions of them. Human, Chithrax, Luminae, and countless others. All trained, all ready, all fighting for the same thing, survival. The battle began. Humanity's long war continued. But this time they were not alone. This time the galaxy stood with them. And together they would show the universe that some things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth dying for, and some things, no matter the odds, are worth surviving for. The war would be long. The losses would be terrible, but they would face it as one. Humanity had returned carrying wrath eternal, but they had also brought something else, something that had nearly been lost in 10,000 years of darkness. They brought unity, and in unity there was hope.